say what you're going to say, but think about how you're going to say it. And we're all responsible for results, metrics as your best self. Hello everyone, I am here. Welcome to another episode of Nicolette's Career Musings. I am going to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart, and that is observation. I'm talking about 12 things your boss notices about you. A lot of times I get questions asking me, well, how can I improve my career? How can I advance? How can I do X, Y, Z in order to get a better raise or get that prime opportunity, get that promotion, even if it's not a promotion, but you want to be on that prime project. There are these things that happen in the workplace that a lot of times employees are not aware of that actually erode their career professionalism. And a lot of times it's not always that you can talk to people about it, but it's part of who they are as a professional. And there's only so much sometimes leaders as myself can say in corporate America. You can kind of coach to it and talk about it, but you really can't tell them every single thing to do, because then next thing you know, they're upset, you've offended them, you're questioning their integrity and all this kind of stuff. It's not about that. It's really about how do you position yourself as a professional in your direct leadership's mind, in your direct management's mind, so they can go to bat for you when those opportunities, prime opportunities come up, or when we're talking about percentages for raises. It can be the difference between 1% to 2% or even 0.5% based on these little things that kind of erode at your professionalism. And I want to kind of give you my take on it. These little things that creep up in your brand, your professional brand in the marketplace that you're probably not thinking about, all this is not a big deal. And a lot of times it can be a big deal. Now, when I talk about these things, it's not carte blanche on everybody. It doesn't happen all the time. But sometimes these little things and tweaks that's part of your career brand can really either make you or break you. So I'm going to give you what I think that would help you get ahead in your career. So my number one is what time you get to work. Yeah, so what time do you get to work? Not necessarily arriving on the premises, but what time do you actually get to work? So being timely is one of the competencies that can elevate your professional status. Even though you may have a start time, say for example at 8 o'clock a.m., that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to walk in the door exactly at 8 o'clock a.m. Especially if you're one of those people who come in, have to get your coffee, have to get your snack to sit down at your desk with, or you have to get yourself settled, everything just right on your desk. It's probably not the best thing to come in at exactly at 8 a.m. I'm on time. Yeah, you may be on time, exactly at 8 o'clock. But then when you sit down and then you go and do all of these other things before you actually get to work, will look a little bit kind of suspicious. So when do you actually start working is really what your managers are looking for. And they're looking for as far as the productivity, because if you think about it, although you may report to someone, that manager also reports to someone. And a lot of times people don't realize that leaders report to other leaders as well. So we're all responsible for results, metrics, the work getting done. And we're expecting you all to do it, and they're expecting us to do it. So how do you really get started on time and get to work if you're walking in exactly at a start time? Say, for example, you even have a grace time. Okay, well, you're not really late until 4 or 5 minutes afterwards, but you're always, every day, skimming it in at 8:04.59, right before the 8:05. And then guess what? Now it's 8:05. Then you sit down, you go get your coffee, you'll go get your morning snack, or your morning beverage. Sometimes some people love sodas, some people love tea, whatever your morning beverage is. You're taking all that time, then you're probably talking and socializing, and then you don't pick up and do any work until maybe 15, 20 minutes, sometimes even 30 minutes after your start time. That erodes your professionalism. So what you need to do is make sure that you're not only coming in on time, but also make sure that you're doing work on time as well. If you're the type of person that has to have coffee in the morning, a morning snack, you may want to consider arriving about 15 minutes beforehand to get those things done before. Just because you walk in the building at a certain time does not mean that now you can do whatever you want to do. And especially if you're having a trend of it, yeah, every once in a while, I understand that you want to go and get a snack or get a morning beverage. But if you're doing it all the time, imagine how much productivity that you're losing. So I'm just going to take the minimum. 15 minutes times 5 days is an hour and 15 minutes of productivity that has been lost. Productivity has been lost that the company or organization has paid for. And then if I'm looking at results or looking at metrics, well, they're probably not getting done because of all of these time wasters that we don't really think about. So what the time you get to work is a big factor in your brand as a professional. So making sure that you're being mindful of those things when you're walking in the door can really boost you when those prime opportunities are there, when it's time for promotion, when it's time to put you on a lead project, a high value project, or those projects that give you great exposure. You want to make sure that you are on time and working and being productive, because guess what? Your direct manager and your leader can go to bat for you and say, oh, this person's always productive. Their brand is very solid because they're here and they're doing the job on time and getting the job done, okay? So think about it. How can I recommend you for an opportunity if you shave off productivity time by walking in at your start time and not getting to work? Okay, now I'm saying me because I'm a leader, not necessarily me. I'm just saying in general, you're a leader wherever you work, wherever you are. Leaders, weigh in, okay? Number two, what time you leave from work. So not only what time you arrive at work, but also what time you leave for work. Now, if you're one of those people that as soon as the end of your shift comes and you're bolting at the door, now I'm gonna be careful because this has actually happened. People get up and they're running to the elevator through the office. This is corporate America, running to hurry up and get out. Yeah, we all have obligations after work, whether you have children or you don't. Your children are in the house or they're out of the house. And bolting out and not really thinking about, okay, how do I leave my work area in a professional manner, make sure that everything is done before I exit the building. But thinking that, okay, I have to leave exactly at 4:30 shows that you're really not engaged in your work or your job or what you're doing, or even caring about going back to productivity, how the work is getting done. And I have also observed people preparing 15 to 30 minutes to get ready to leave for work, and they just basically shut down and stop working like it's hangout time. Oh, it's almost time to go, so I'm gonna go and do this, I'm gonna go get some water, I'm gonna go use the bathroom, I'm gonna do this and that. Again, that's 15 minutes at the end of the day, or maybe 30 minutes at the end of the day times 5. So that's an hour and 15 minutes to what? 2.5 hours of productivity. Again, that's gone. So now you've taken your typical 8-hour workday and have actually reduced it down to maybe what, 5.5? But you're being paid for 8 hours, right? So how does that look? How are you presenting yourself? How is that for your brand? So you have to think about those things. Yes, again, we all have obligations after work and we have things that we have to do, but it's how you're doing that and how often that you're doing that. So being careful about those things that your boss notice about. But if they're running out the door and I can't say, hey, can you take this last item I need done, this last task, can you do this for me real quick? No, I gotta go, I have this going on, I have that. Yeah, we all do. But sometimes based on your professionalism, how do you manage that and how does it look? Especially if you're winding down your day well before it's time for you to leave. That can really hurt you as a natural professional, okay? So not only when time you get to work, but number 2, what time you leave work. Next one is what you say and how you say it, okay? Sometimes in the workplace, we have to be mindful of how we get our point across. I applaud leadership courage all day long. and challenging the status quo and giving pushback all day long, because that's what makes us better as an organization. That's what makes us better as a if you're on the team or if you're in a department, whatever your work environment is, it makes us better, because what we're doing is basically trying to make it better. But sometimes I can get the twinge of, okay, it's saying from a negative cut you type of thing. I'm going to say this and it's very attitudinal, or it's very disrespectful. Just plain disrespectful, because again, it erodes your professionalism. Say what you're going to say, but think about how you're going to say it and how you're going to present it, because it's not always about you. You got to think about everybody else around you, because that can affect others' opinions. Then it can either go either negative or positive. So negative, say, well, man, why would they say something like that? That was just kind of crude. And it kind of gives that angst against people. But you don't want to do that. Have leadership courage to say what you're going to say. Don't be stifled and don't be mute. I'm not saying that. Just think about how do you present the information, and presenting it as your best self and not angry or attitudinal and I'm gonna do what I want to do, forget this, and you can't do that in the workplace. It erodes your professionalism. It just does. And when you're doing those little small things and people are saying, well, I really can't go to bed because I don't know if they'll do that to another manager or another leader or another department or another team or another whatever it is, or organization for that matter, it's kind of hard. So you have to think about those different things. And my whole goal with this whole series is really to bring a little bit more professionalism back into the workplace. Because we have to respect one another. We have to make sure that we are respectful of ourselves and our brand in the workplace, and making sure that we're getting the job done and respecting the place that actually pays our bills. Even if you don't want to be at that place, there's other places. You're still going to have to take you as a career professional to that place. If you're going to be in the workplace, you want to make sure that you're doing the best job. As they say, an honest day's pay for an honest day's work. That's what we want to do, and we want to always put our best foot forward. And a lot of times we don't think about these things because we're just mad about this or angry about that. And it's not even necessarily passion, because I've seen passion and I've seen just downright rude. I mean, it's a difference. And again, I've seen leadership courage and I've seen downright disrespectful. I've seen it, and it's not very positive, especially when your leader has to go to bat. No matter where, especially with this, if it's within the actual organization and they're picking up the phone and asking, well, how is this person? I don't have a poker face. It's hard for me to tell a tale. And I will be honest. No, I'm not going to be throwing somebody under the bus or what have you. But I have to be careful about, well, would I really recommend this person if I were to be called? Would I really put my neck out there? And then all of a sudden get the backlash, well, you told me X, Y, and Z, and this person has caused me all kinds of havoc. I don't want that on me. I don't want that as my brand either. So therefore, think about what you're doing in that space in your corporate environment. And then think about how do you want to represent yourself? Because again, it's not about that boss, that team, that department, that organization. It's about who you are and how you're going to market and brand yourself no matter where you go. Because you are you. You are with you no matter wherever you go. Right? Isn't that Dr. Seuss? Something like that. But I wanted to share that, again, those are my first 3 tips, part 1 of this 12-part series about what your boss, 12 things that your boss notices about you that may be eroding your professionalism. And some of the things that you need to think about if you're trying to increase your professionalism and also increase your opportunities. Because I'm telling you, if I have an employee who is positive, on time, putting the extra effort in, always volunteering, and always being receptive of feedback and also willing to take on extra projects and extra things, oh, trust me, my name will be written all over your stamp of approval. I'll sign it, dot it, flip it around, and do everything, whatever you need. And I'm sure there are many leaders out there who will do the same thing. So think about, how do you want to be represented? How do you want to advance in your career? How do you want your boss to really recognize you and notice you? How do you want your boss's boss to recognize you? Because sometimes, believe it or not, your boss's boss also has an idea of who you are without the boss saying anything. You never know. Observation. Leaders and managers within companies are charged with the competency of observation. Our observations weigh very heavy in addition to your metrics and your results. This is very, very crucial in corporate America, and I really want to bring back the professionalism and a respect of each other in the workplace. Thank you all so much for joining me. I've had a wonderful time with you guys. See me again. Bye.